And this is a Fox News alert, a blockbuster story happening on Capitol Hill this morning. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell, who sits on the House Intel Committee, reportedly has ties to a Chinese spy, that alleged agent apparently trying to influence American politicians. And now Republican lawmakers are demanding answers. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Sandra, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Trace Gallagher. That report coming from Axios, Swalwell now pushing back, saying the story was released to hurt him because of his constant criticism of President Trump. But Tucker Carlson says it shows the top Democrat is compromised.
Eric Swalwell, who has used his office to promote Beijing's talking points, almost word for word, ones that matter, by the way, a man who admits to a close personal relationship with an actual Chinese spy who helped him get elected to Congress, raised money for him, and put an intern, probably another spy, in his office. That man continues to serve on the House Intelligence Committee, where he has unrestricted access to classified information. How is this happening?
For more on this, let's bring in former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming on. I want to get your take on what you make of this, because the Axios report says this woman, Christine Fang, also known as Fang Fang, didn't pass along any classified information. But the report goes on to specify this, and I'm quoting here, private but unclassified information about government officials, such as their habits, preferences, schedules, social networks, and even rumors about them is a form of political intelligence. Collecting such information is a key part of what foreign intelligence agencies do. What do you make of all this?
It's a very serious story. He sits on the Select Committee on Intelligence, as Tucker Carlson pointed out, unfettered access to some of our most highly classified documents. And it really does beg the question, first of all, what did they know? When did they know it? Obviously, our counterintelligence people are not going to know all the interactions that happened. This intern that was supposedly placed in his office also creates further compromise. I want to know exactly what Speaker Pelosi knew. She alone is the person that appoints people to that Select Committee. Why did they have to have him in that committee when they know that he has potentially been compromised? All of these questions are still swirling around. And Trace, Representative Swalwell has not denied the fact that this actually did happen.
No, there's been no denials. He did, of course, blame the president. We'll get that to a minute. But I want to play this from House Minority Speaker Kevin McCarthy, because he's saying that, in essence, Congressman, this is the tip of the iceberg. Watch.
The tip of the iceberg. This congressman now gets on the Intel Committee. They are only selected from the Intel Committee by the leaders of their party, meaning Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is one of the Gang of Eight, along with myself. Did Nancy Pelosi know this had transpired when she put him on the committee?
So the question is not only who did they know, or what did they know, and when did they know it, but who else knew about this?
Congressman McCarthy is absolutely right, because he is quoted, Representative Swalwell is quoted as saying that his leadership did know. Now, certainly, if they're giving a defensive briefing to a member of Congress, they're also going to give that to the leader of their party, the person that selects this person, the person who is in the Gang of Eight, the one and only Nancy Pelosi. And so why? And the other question is, why did he even get on this committee in the first place? He doesn't have a deep intelligence or military type of background. He was very young when he was elected to Congress, and then put immediately onto this committee. And why? Why do all these things happen? And why does he continue to sit on this committee? When this comes to light, she should get rid of him. There's no way he should be on this committee any longer.
There's also the intimation, Jason, about the fact that, China's bigger intent here, and why this is kind of coming out of California, the Bay Area in specific, because of the powerful leaders that have come out of there. We're talking about Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein. We've got Kamala Harris. And you point to things like the liberal policies. Is there a connection to be made there, and maybe a 30,000-foot level of China's bigger intent going forward?
The pervasiveness of the Chinese attempt to spy on Americans, whether they be for intellectual property in our private companies or into the military, our scientific community, and certainly into government officials, it is pervasive. There are so many people, and I've been briefed on some of this, I got to be careful, but there are so many people that are out there in a counterintelligence type of operation trying to focus to steal America's best. But when we know about one, we've got to make sure that we bottle that up, put it aside, and make sure that it doesn't happen anymore. And there's an ongoing, I think, systemic vulnerability that Nancy Pelosi's putting us in that doesn't need to be there.
We talked about this at the beginning of the segment, how, there's been no denials so far of the Axios report, but of course they're kind of pushing the blame around here. Congressman Swalwell said the following here about President Trump, quoting here, "I've been a critic of the president. I've spoken out against him. I was on both committees that worked to impeach him. The timing feels like that should be looked at." In other words, the president could be behind this whole report.
That is classic deflection. What comes out in the Axios article, and they should hats off to them, is that they've been working on this story since at least 2019. This has been percolating for a long time. It's just pop up and printed within 48 hours. More than a year of investigation. I think the lack of denial speaks volumes. To try to deflect and say it's Donald Trump's fault is classic Swalwell, but nobody's buying it.